Hi guys, good morning. So ngayon we will do review sa Steam Deck na parang Switch version ng Valve na nirelease nila kahapon, I think. Yun lang. Gusto ko lang malaman kung ano yung nito, pinagkaiba sa Switch tsaka lalo na yung sa games itself. Kasi wala akong Switch kasi one reason is ayoko ng mga games niya. Parang in my own opinion, hindi ko trip yung mga games niya. Sobrang konti lang ng RPGs na gusto ko. Like Zelda, Disgaea 5. Actually, hindi yung RPG yung Disgaea 5 eh. Pero yun lang yung so far yung dalawang games na nagustuhan ko sa Switch. Kaya hindi rin ako bumili. Tsaka yun nga, mahal din. So yun, gusto ko lang malaman kung anong in store for us dito sa Steam Deck. So, panoorin na natin guys. Habang kumakain din ako ng breakfast since kagigising ko lang. Halata, di ba? Halata ba? Tsaka ito pala yung pinili ko, hindi yung review itself, 10 things you need to know sa Steam Deck para sure na. Tsaka dito pala, okay na yung mga games niya eh. Control, Doom.
Valve's portable handheld PC has been revealed. It's called the Steam Deck. It's coming this December, and there's some information out there.
December na? This year? Ayos ah.
Let's break down all the info with 10 categories. Let's get started
Subo muna ako.
and of course, talk hardware and some of the specs of this thing. So it's got a custom AMD AP.
So hindi ako masyado technical sa mga ganyan, CPUs, mga ganun. Ay more on games. Doon ako nag-depend kung gaano kalakas yung console or handheld sa games na kaya niya.
16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM. The storage varies by version, but it starts at 64 gigs and it goes up to 526 gigs. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. That's the main gist of it in terms of graphical stuff. You can see how it handles
Star Wars. Ang laki. Parang ang laki niya.
the heat, which is of course very important. Interesting to note that it has two capacitive and programmable touch surfaces on both sides of the unit. This is of course with the intention to serve as a mouse when you need it, along with your standard trigger buttons, face buttons, joysticks, and all that. It also has 4 programmable buttons in the back, similar to how some Pro-style controllers have. The device also has a gyroscope for motion controls, which is pretty sweet. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're looking at the placement of the buttons and you think, yikes, this thing looks like a messed up Sega Game Gear that looks way too chunky and uncomfortable. We're just gonna have to wait and see. The jury's out. This layout is actually similar to the Wii U gamepad from back a minute ago. As much as I wasn't the biggest fan of that hardware, the feel of that gamepad controller wasn't too bad, so if it's anything like that, it's okay, I guess. The design and button placement, I'm sure, will be the debate in the comments. We're really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. But let's move on over to number 9 and talk upgradability, because you think this thing is a portable PC? Yes, but the core hardware is technically not upgradable.
Parang weird nga lang placement tong niya buttons.
Micro SD card. There's a slot for it, and you can run games off of those. So presumably, you could add up to another terabyte of storage if you're willing to pay up for that. But there are plenty of reasonable priced SD cards from 32 gigs to 500, whatever you want. So don't worry, you'll probably be fine. Now over number 8, let's talk.
Grabe, ang ganda nun. Ganda nun, pwede na siyang, ang mura lang ng mga SD card. Nice yun, nice.
Some of this is speculation in terms of what the actual hardware specs are and what they've shown us. We do know that the way it's going to work, all normal graphics options that you get on PC games are going to be accessible. It's going to work like playing any other PC game. You have a bunch of settings you can mess with. They may not be compatible, obviously, but still, you have the choice to push it as far as you want. The website for the Steam Deck shows Jedi Fallen Order playing, and apparently it's set to high graphics settings, which is pretty impressive. A couple of websites have said that they've been able to see this in person, and it does look like it performs pretty well. They also show running Control, interestingly enough, which is available on Nintendo
Control
Switch,
and Star Wars, pwede na din. Pwede, okay.
Is that this is a hardware-based device. It's not relying on the cloud, it's not relying on streaming. It's using the in-game hardware, the GPU, everything working to generate real graphics for you. Next, over at number 7, we got to talk about the operating system. So this thing uses Steam OS, which is based in Linux. It runs Linux natively, but you can easily install Windows instead if you prefer, according to Valve. It's not a locked system, which means that you can leave this
parang Windows
and play around with it
supported
as much
siya.
as you want. It's basically a fully portable PC with everything that entails. And we prefer when ecosystems and the hardware devices that we buy are open access and let us do whatever we want. Shout out to Valve for that. Now, via Shack News, apparently you'll be able to play Windows games that don't have official Linux support on this machine, even if you don't install Windows. We don't really know
Grabe,
for
ang
sure,
lupit
but
ah.
apparently it has a lot to do with Valve's Proton software, which is
PC
kind of like this
games?
Steam OS
Toto.
compatibility
Grabe
software,
ah.
which they said has, and I quote, vastly improved. It's also worth noting that the OS has a suspend resume function that can put the system into sleep mode, and then you can just turn it on and continue gaming easy later. Also, it's worth pointing out that games
Okay.
will have mod support because of the way this thing
Hindi
is
ko alam kung
designed
meron
and
ding
the
ganong
ecosystem
function
it
yung
exists in.
Switch.
You're going to be able to do
Pero
anything
super
you do
okay
on
yun.
PC on the
Na
deck.
feature.
Valve has reiterated that a couple of times on their website, and we're really excited to see that in
Grabe.
action. Now,
Ang
over
lakas
at number
nun.
6, let's talk network and connectivity. It's Wi-Fi only. It's a dual band. There's no cellular connection, so you can't pay to have like a Verizon service on this, and then you can run around and play, I don't know, Valorant or whatever the kids play on the go. No. It apparently has a built-in microphone for multiplayer chat, and it's Bluetooth. Obviously,
So,
it's
ibig sabihin, hindi ka
5.0,
pwede nasa
and you can
labas
connect your
maglaro?
headset to
Pero
a
pwede naman sigurong
USB-C or
data. I
3.5
mean
millimeter
hotspot.
headphone jack, which thank God they're still including those things. I feel like they're
Kasi ano
going
pang...
extinct.
Yun
Now,
lang kung ganun.
theoretically,
Kung
you
hindi
can play
pwede.
local multiplayer by connecting extra controllers to this thing, which gives you more fun portability
Wow!
co-op action similar to the Switch, but for PC games. So the
Grabe!
possibilities are pretty limitless. Now, over at number 5, briefly, let's talk about what's going to be in the box. When you buy this
Grabe
thing, it
yun!
comes with a power adapter, a carrying case, and the device itself is going to weigh 1.47 pounds. Now, in comparison, the Switch weighs 0.88 pounds with the Joy-Cons attached, so
Okay lang, okay lang.
like almost double what the Switch does. It's 67% heavier. That's still pretty light if you want to just talk about carrying heavy hardware things. But we've tested other
Tsaka
PC
FPC.
portable devices
Ah,
like
tinas
this
na
in the
nila.
past, and that's the elephant in the room. These things are going to be heavy. They have to have fans, and then they have to move air. There's a lot going on in the chassis, so for now, we have to deal with it. Also, Valve is going to be selling a dock to allow you to connect to a TV or a monitor, a keyboard and mouse
Okay.
setup, an
Kala
Ethernet
pwede ka na
cord,
sa PC,
anything
pwede
you're
ka pa sa
looking for,
monitor,
but
no?
that'll be sold separately, and right now, there's no price or release
Ah,
date.
okay.
But
Hindi
according to
kasama
Valve,
yung
any
dock.
off-the-shelf
Sa bagay, kasi pwede mo
USB-C
na
dock
gamitin siya sa
will
PC
also
naman.
work, which is pretty sweet.
Okay, ads. Skip muna natin yun, sorry.
Now over at number 4, another big important one, the question on the tip of everybody's tongue, of course, is the battery life. So it's got a 40 watt-hour battery, which according to Valve offers between 2 to 8 hours of gameplay, depending on how
2 to 8
system taxing
hours,
the game
okay.
is.
Pwede na
Depending
din,
on how
pero kung PC
graphically intense
kasi,
a game you're playing.
feeling ko less than
Valve
8
says that
hours
the
pa yan.
battery will last up to 8 hours during, and I quote, lighter use cases like game
Ah,
streaming,
diba?
smaller 2D games, or web browsing.
Pero kung
So,
PC games
more
yan,
system-intensive games will probably only
definitely
last
less than 8
about 2
hours.
hours or so, give or take. So it's a system where you're going to want an outlet available in some case. Like I said, we've seen some of these
Alam
devices,
ko
and while
na.
they are fun and exciting
Kaya
and really kind
siguro,
of bring a
kung
look
hindi nga
of
siya
the
pwede
future
sa
of
data,
gaming, there's still setbacks. And
kasi
one
kailangan
of them
lagi
is
naka-charge.
weight, the other is battery life. If you're a PC player, though, you already learned how to mess with settings to optimize what you have, so it's probably going to be more of that. You know, if you're playing a mid-level story game and you're willing to play it at 30 frames per second, you might save some battery life. But if you want to bump that up, the drawback is you're going to need to be near an outlet. Estimates are all over the place. I see people throwing all kinds of things out there, but we're not going to know for sure until we get our hands on this thing for testing. So keep your eyes peeled for a before you buy video from me once this thing is actually officially available in people's hands. Now down to number 3, let's talk screen. This is a 7-inch screen. It's 720p native resolution. It's 60 hertz LCD touchscreen. It has ambient light sensors to adjust the screen brightness, which is pretty much expected by now, and it has a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. The exact resolution is 1280 by 800.
Wow.
So now, while some people might hear that and freak out and think it's not good enough, because it is a small screen, you won't really notice too much of a difference. And what you're getting as a trade-off
Grabe naman,
is
pwede na
games
yun.
not having to run on a crazy 4K monitor, so it's less
1280 nga eh.
intensive and hopefully
Monitor
it'll
nga,
save you some
1280 na rin
battery
eh.
life. Over at number 2, let's talk about Valve and the vision for this thing, because Valve has a track record of coming out with hardware devices and then they go bye-bye. But according to Gabe Newell at Valve, this is like a test for them, and they want to create a new category. How do consumers respond to it? That's what they're waiting. They believe there's value in extending the PC ecosystem in this direction, just trying new things to make the growing PC ecosystem blossom even more and create a whole new product category. If it works, they want other PC manufacturers to join in as it creates just this whole category and blows it out. He did a great interview with IGN that we will link in the description below. It's really worth watching. Also, shout out to Gabe for now looking like a cool wizard. Also, very important to note, Valve isn't the first to
Gandalf.
make this type of device. They didn't invent this thing. There are other machines out there, like the Aya Neo, the GPD Win 3, stuff like that. Although we prefer to see how Valve, having their big, massive company budget, like how far they can take this. Hopefully, this device will have less compromises, but let's wait and see. Now, down to number 1, let's talk pricing, baby. It's available in December,
Hindi
and
kasama
there's
yung games,
3 different
really.
SKUs. So, the 64 gigabyte version is $399 US dollars. The 256 gigabyte version is $529, and the 512 gigabyte is $649. This version also features an anti-glare etched glass screen. It's worth noting that the lower $399 model storage is in the eMMC format, which is slower than the NVMe SSDs packed with the more expensive versions. They all come with a carrying case, but apparently the most expensive version, the 649 version, is going to come with an exclusive carrying case and a virtual keyboard theme. Now, the way to get your hands on one of these, you're going to be able to reserve any one of these at 1 p.m. EDT on Friday, July 16th, which is done through Steam. Now, an interesting requirement, you actually have to have made a Steam purchase on the store at some point before June 2021 to be eligible to reserve one on time. If you haven't, then it makes you wait
Grabe,
48
all
hours.
PC
It also
games, dude.
requires a
Totoo ba yun?
$5 deposit. The initial shipping is only for the United States, Canada, the EU, and the UK, with more regions coming in 2022. Now, that $5 deposit, the actual Steam before June 2021 requirement, all that is actually a cool deterrence against scalpers. We really hope that works. It seems like Valve is aware, maybe even seemingly more than some of the other companies right now, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes down. Like I said, we're going to be talking about this a lot and testing it and making videos, so we want to hear what you guys think in the comments. Let us know if you've played with any other portable PC device, how you feel about those, whether or not you think Valve is up to the task.
Okay,
Do you
okay,
like
okay.
that button layout? There's a lot to talk about, so let us know. Some of this.
So, yun na yung bagong Switch Killer. Switch Killer. So, masasabi ko lang unang-una, gulat ako na PC games yung pwede. Like, grabe yun. Ang gaganda ng PC games. Pero, yun nga, yung requirement niya for you to play that sa handheld, mataas din. Kaya no wonder yung battery life niya is 8 hours. 2 to 8 hours. 8 hours kapag yun nga, 2D games, light games lang. Pero for sure, ano to, less than 8 hours. Tapos, since PC games siya, sobrang gaganda ng games siya. Kasi, the reason kaya di ko rin trip yung Switch is yung mga RPGs niya na magaganda. Ano siya eh, yun yung mga lumang RPG games na like Skyrim, I think Witcher din, meron sa Switch. Eh, lahat yun natapos ko na before eh. Even this Gaia 5 nga natapos ko na siya eh. Puro ano siya, puro, ang tawag doon, pinagandang version. Actually, hindi nga siya pinaganda eh. Same version lang din kasi since yung requirement nga na Switch, may ano lang, mababa lang. Tapos yung mga bagong RPGs ng Switch, hindi ko na siya trip. Sobrang hindi ko na siya trip. Di ako nagandahan. Kaya eto, sobrang looking forward ako dito kasi since PC games siya, yung mga RPGs na kaya niya, ano, mabibigat talagang pwedeng triple A games. Kaya yun nga lang yung battery life niya mababa lang. Pero nagulat ako dito sa part na to na eto sa number 6,
It's Wi-Fi only. It's a dual band.
Wi-Fi only, so walang cellular, meaning hindi siya pwedeng i-data. Kasi dun, that way, well, at least dito sa Philippines, that way ka lang pwedeng makalaro outside kapag naka-hotspot ka kung saan. I mean, kung naka-hotspot ka sa cellphone mo, para kahit walang wifi, pwede. So, eto hindi pwede. Kasi it makes sense na hindi siya pwede kasi nga yung battery life niya mababa lang so kailangan nakasaksak din every time na maglalaro ka. Lalo kapag mataas yung requirement ng game. Kaya gets ko rin naman pero yun lang, medyo downside kapag ganun. For me at least. Kasi yung, well, kaya nga handheld siya eh, para at least kahit anywhere ka, pwede mo siyang malaro, madala. So, yun, may mga games din naman na hindi kailangan ng internet. So, okay din siya. And then, ito pa, yung isa pa na advantage is, di ko alam kung yung may function na ganito sa
On the
Switch.
portability co-op
So,
action
pero
single
pwede
player
siyang, yun nga,
suspension for
co-op.
PC games. So the possibilities are pretty
Grabe,
limitless.
pwede siyang co-op sa isang handheld lang. Kailangan mo lang ng two controllers para makalaro. So, sobrang positive siya sa part na yun. So, overall, okay siya. Ngayon pa lang pwede ko nang masabi na medyo meron na siyang edge compared sa Switch. Di ko lang alam yung price kasi di ko alam kung magkano yung Switch sa ano, nung original price niya. Pero I think mas mahal to. Pero hindi naman siya ganun kamahal. Pero yun nga, yung lower version niya, pag mura yung binili mo is mas mababa yung speed niya compared sa
21 to be
ibang
able to
mas
be
mahal.
eligible to reserve one on.
Pero just imagine all PC games. Di ko alam kung may restriction sa mga PC games na iba. Pero sabi niya kasi PC games yung pwedeng malaro. Tapos pwede mo pa siya i-connect sa PC mo. So, sobrang looking forward sa handheld na to. Ngayon siguro yun lang for now. Tingnan natin
If you
kung
have
meron silang
a PC
i-release
gaming
na mga
viewing
games
habits,
na pwede na or pwede na i-cater ng handheld na to. Tingnan natin kung ano yung mga magagandang games. Kasi so far, pinakita nila is Control, Star Wars. And then may iba pa eh, kaya hindi ako familiar. Parang Diablo ata yung iba. Ayan, no, Star Wars. So, yun, triple A game siya. So, kaya siya nung handheld na to na smooth daw. So, yun, tingnan natin. In the future, pag nag-post sila ng mga games na available dito, check natin din yun. Lalo na when it comes sa RPG games. Okay. So, see you guys. Thank you for watching.